About 15 years ago, I became interested in looking at nutrient balances on farms, and in particular, one thing I was focused on was the amount of phosphorus that remains on the farm. And it was pretty evident at that time that if dairy producers didn't have enough land base in growing forages and grains, that they were going to need an outlet to move some of this phosphorus off farm. So that's where this whole technology comes into play, is helping these farms create a phosphorus balance.
The way we have had created a fertilizer supply is by mining it from phosphate rock. And that hasn't been a problem because in the United States we had some of the world's best reserves. But those reserves have been hit hard and they are beginning to run out. So we've been shoveling this mined phosphorus onto fields, and then one way or another it's been leaving the field. So we've kind of had this one-way trip of this vital nutrient from our fields to the ocean, essentially.
So trying to balance those sources of phosphorus and nitrogen especially has been one of the key goals of this Struvite project that Dr. Harrison and WSU are working on.
So I think this technology in particular, because it extracts phosphorus, is going to be of interest to those farms where they have more phosphorus in their manure than they have acreage to grow crops that need that phosphorus. We're not only capturing the phosphorus here, but the idea is to reconnect it with forage growers in eastern Washington. But we found out that the alfalfa producers are really interested in struvite as a phosphorus source. And again, I think one of the reasons is we've got a material that's got more of a medium rate release of phosphorus, so it more matches the uptake by the crop.
With our images, especially for our test field, at the beginning of the season after we planted it last fall, and then this spring looking at the images, there was a few bare spots, there was a few skips of just smaller alfalfa plants and things like that. And there was actually a ton of grass in the center of the field that didn't have alfalfa uptake as well as everywhere else. And then after we applied the fertilizer, the crop evened out, and you could actually see on the map that it was all even, it was all consistent.
Unlike a conventional phosphate fertilizer, it doesn't start to release its nutrients. It only releases its nutrients when it receives a certain chemical input from the plant roots. And it so happens that the release rate is roughly the same as what the plant needs. So what we've seen in experiments is that the struvite will last for the entire crop cycle, and it appears that there could still be quite a bit of nutrient left for a second crop cycle. We can now pull phosphorus from pretty much any waste stream. We can do it very efficiently in the 89–90% range, and the resulting struvite fertilizer is turning out to be an amazing fertilizer.
Cutting our fertilizer application down by one application a year would actually be super beneficial, because it costs us every time the fertilizer applicator has to come out and spread our fields, and it costs us about $9 an acre every time they come out and apply. So cutting that cost down per cutting will save us probably about $5–10 grand a year, depending on how many fields are spread and how many fields are applied.